Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. If you haven't, make sure you like and subscribe to the page. And today we're going to be covering DCeased, the Unkillables. Now I'm really excited about this one. So DC Universe's DCeased is essentially DC's answer to the zombie era and everyone's fascination with zombies. And in the original run of DCeased, we saw essentially everything play out with our heroes. With DCeased the Unkillables, we're shown the villains and how they're surviving. So without further ado, let's dive into issue number 1. So issue number 1 picks us up with Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, somewhere in Kentucky, day 1 of the anti-life virus. And he's here to do a mission. He's here to do a hit. Some guys set some churches on fire, and so Deathstroke's here to essentially pay them a little visit. Upon arriving at the location that he needed to find these guys at, Deathstroke's met with everybody just fleeing the building, just headed out in every direction. And Deathstroke, assuming that this is them just running from him, he starts just shooting and slashing, and then he turns around and looks inside, and it's just a house filled with freaking zombies everywhere. And in normal Slade Wilson style, he just starts laying waste to everybody in the room. Realizing this wasn't in the job description at all, he goes to look at his phone. And as we learned previously, the phone is where a lot of people are getting the virus from because it's a techno-biological virus. And Cyborg was essentially the cause of everybody getting the virus because of his connection to the internet. So Slade Wilson picks up his phone and looks at it and almost instantly turns into a zombie and it goes black. And then we see images start to appear and Slade Wilson was choking somebody, but he seemed to have gained consciousness. And what's happening here is Deathstroke's healing ability has kicked in, so much so that it ridded his body of the anti-life equation. It's really unique that we're seeing it with him because we haven't seen it with anybody else that has gotten it. Like Barry Allen, he has super speeding, but he was still taken over by it. Slade Wilson's healing is definitely on a higher scale, so that could be the answer, maybe even a cure for it. And then we're brought to Wayne Manor in Gotham, and we see Jason Todd, day 2 of the virus, going into the Batcave looking for anybody that may still be around after all of this started. And then he sees a pool of blood, and laid in the middle of the floor is Batman, Robin, and Nightwing. And so Jason Todd does what all should do, and he buries the dead and decides it's time that since Batman's no longer around, maybe it's time for him to be able to drive the Batmobile. And he uses it to try to locate what members of the Bat family may be left in Gotham other than him through a heartbeat sensor that's in the vehicle. And he's only able to detect 2. And this is where we see him drive off with the headstone etched: Bruce Wayne, father, mentor, bastard, Batman. Seems very fitting for a Jason Todd chiseled headstone commemorated to Batman. And then we see Rose. Rose is Slade Wilson's daughter, Deathstroke's daughter, and it's night 2 of the virus since the outbreak began. And she's talking to her father, and she's terrified to go outside because her premonitions are telling her that there's a good chance that she's going to be eaten if she opens up that door. And Slade's telling her, listen, you need to go open that door and get to the roof. Do it now. And she gets to the roof in full Deathstroke wear, and a ladder is extended down to her, and he tells her to climb. But before she even gets the opportunity, Slade Wilson's attacked. And we see the helicopter go down, Slade coming out of the wreckage, appearing to be almost zombie-like. So much so that Rose jabs a sword into his chest, realizing after he cusses that it's not actually a zombie, it's her dad. And then we see the appearance of Mirror Master. And he tells them that Vandal Savage is sending a message out pretty much to anybody that'll listen, that the rest of the villains that are alive are getting together, and he wants to meet with you guys. He gives them some goggles that also protect from the anti-life equation. And so with this, they go into the Mirror Master's dimension, and all you see is mirrors spackled with blood everywhere, because every mirror across every place on Earth is just seeing absolute destruction and mayhem and death. And so they're brought before Vandal Savage, and he just goes over how, even on the thought of extinction, some survive. and these are the ones that I've been able to help survive so far. And you see Grundy and Creeper, Cheetah, Captain Cold, Lady Siva, Bane, Deadshot. It's essentially what's left, or what's been able to be found of what's left of the villains so far. And Savage goes into more detail, telling them, like, this is what's left. We are the survivors. The heroes are going to fail. Like, they're going to try to protect everybody, and in doing so, this virus is going to get so bad it's going to spread, and it's going to infect every single person, heroes included. And his plan is essentially, I've lived 1,500 years. I've been close to extinction before. I know what happens, and when this is all over, we're going to be the ones left to rule. And then we're brought to GCPD in Gotham City, night 2 of the virus. And we see Jim Gordon battling what seems to be an endless horde of just zombie after zombie with someone from the Bat family. And Jim just keeps waiting and holding out. Like, he wants Batman to show up. Like, he needs Batman to show up. And finally realizing he's not going to show up, they back out into the prison cells. But before they're able to actually get away, Harvey gets attacked and turns, and we see Harvey just get his neck broken instantly. In the same instant, we see the Batmobile come crashing through the wall. And at first, Jim's like, Batman's here. And not realizing that it's Jason Todd, he's like, no, it's not Batman, but get in the car. So as they start to take off, they're trying to figure out what the plan might be. And Jim he's like, I need to go see Barbara. I need to find Barbara. I need to know if she's alive, if she's dead, like, what's going on. And Jason tells him, this is, like, I'm not picking up her heartbeat. It's flatlined. And he needs to find out for himself. And this is where Jim Gordon finds out that it's Jason Todd and Cassandra Cain underneath the masks. And so they head off to find Barbara, and they find her strung up and dead. And it just breaks Jim Gordon's heart. You can see the sorrow in his face. And while this is happening, Jason sees the Joker lying dead on the ground, and he's extremely pissed off. He's like, I should have been the one to have killed him. This was taken from me. So before they head off, he, in his final act of vengeance towards the Joker, he ties him to the hood of the Batmobile, and Jim's just like, man, this is pretty messed up. And Jason Todd's like, it's the apocalypse, don't judge me. And I absolutely love that. So I think it's one of my favorite lines of this so far. And so they arrive in Bloodhaven after leaving Gotham, and they see what seems to be a building on the outskirts of town that's just completely surrounded by zombies altogether. And Jason, he wants to leave. Like, he doesn't want to deal with this. But the morality of the others convince him to try and stay and fight this. And so he takes the protocols off of the Batmobile and just opens fire on this horde of zombies. And you just see bodies going left and right. And they make their way inside of the building, assuming that there's survivors inside. That's why the zombies are around this building. And when they get inside, they're met with a bunch of kids and finding out that it's an orphanage. And the kids tell them, either the adults, the caregivers, they left, or they've been turned and they're locked in the gym. And so Jason Todd, admittedly being an orphan himself, it's like, all right, we're gonna stay. We're gonna make our stand here. We're gonna make our fight here. And this is where this issue of DCeased will end. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Tell me what you guys think this is going towards next. We're definitely be covering the next issue soon, waiting in anticipation for the third one to be coming out. So make sure you guys like and subscribe to my page so you don't miss that content coming out. And until the next video.